when this young lady was bringing down this other woman and trying to kick her while she was down, it was disgusting to me. So I made comments in her on her YouTube channel and told her how I felt it was disgusting. So she wrote back and she starts saying, well, I'm this, I'm that, I do all this meditating, I do all this, prayer work, I do all of these things, so I'm doing, I'm high. I'm spiritually high. And I had to let her know that no, you're not spiritually high. I said the reason that you're not spiritually high is because in times like this, when something like this comes up, this is what tells you that you're high. You don't just tell yourself, oh, I'm high because I'm meditating and I'm doing all these different things that are, I'm using my sage and, I'm cleansing and all this, you don't, that's not what you should be saying to yourself. You should be saying that, I mean, she's basically uplifting herself like this man is. You know, that's not how it works. The way it works is that when something comes up and you're doing all that work, you're doing all the meditating and everything, and then a situation happens like this, someone is in pain. I guarantee you, if you're walking on the right path and you're doing the work of your inner work, then you will not laugh at another woman's pain. You wouldn't laugh at another man's pain or a man's pain. You would not find that that was a funny thing. And then if you really, really go high because you've been doing some serious work, you might find yourself shedding a tear because that other woman is in pain. That's how this works, guys.
To get to yourself. I've been telling you this. I've been telling you this. I've been telling you this for since I left. You need to get to yourself, bro. The only time you've been to yourself since you've been on your journey was when you was in that jail cell. Think about it. Listen. It's bro, you need to get to yourself heal. Before you teach anything else, you need to heal. Every you can't tell me to go get to myself because that's not good advice.
You know, when you think about it and you look at this video, you listen to her and what she's saying, and you listen at what he's saying, it's like, who's the guru here? She seems like she's the guru. He's not. He hasn't told her anything really good. He hasn't told her anything good on this thing. When he did say something about her, he was putting her down. He didn't say anything good. Okay? Um, she's the one that's telling him what he is supposed to do. You have to do inner work. And the way you're going to do that inner work is alone. Not there all the time trying to teach other people when you haven't even taught yourself. Somebody asked him, who was your teacher? Where did you get this from? He says, from experience, life experience. What? I mean, life experience is worth a lot. But if you only pay attention to your life experiences, how do you learn? You do learn by mistakes, and you're supposed to learn by mistakes and different things like that, and changes and that kind of stuff. But and other people, experiences, watching other people and talking to other people. But you cannot learn higher perspective. You cannot learn the spiritual principles of know thyself if you're not doing the work, because there are levels to the work. So you're not going to get the spiritual gifts that are given to you if you're not doing the inner work. They on every level there is a spiritual gift waiting for you, and you'll be amazed at what they are. But he obviously don't have those gifts because number one, he's relying on astrology to, help people find themselves. Astrology, we learned a long time ago when we were getting our, horoscopes and getting our horoscope charts. And, somebody said to me, this is a woman that reads books about herself, and it's like, wow, you kind of think about that. And it's almost like having your own portrait in your house, of yourself. Um, you know, what I learned about the astrology and stuff, and I didn't get into getting a microscope and looking at the stars and everything, and he doesn't either. He doesn't go that far. He follows somebody else's teaching, somebody else's discovery about uh, charts, about these uh, zodiac signs and everything. And the thing is that what it is he's, he don't understand that astrology, what we discovered a long time ago is that with astrology and those charts and everything, they they're very general. They're extremely general. They are not absolute. Okay. um I heard him the other day reading his chart, and his chart was talking about fatal attractions. This is what, he his chart is basically warning him against. You have these fatal attractions, and you have this, and you get this kind of person, and you get that. And really, the way he perceived it, the way he took it, was that he was going, he was attracting that. The way I was perceiving it, or the other way that I could see it, was that he was the person that the other person would be attracting. What he was reading was actually him, because I'm looking at his life. I'm seeing him beating up women, and you know, uh, you know, uh, degrading them, uh, telling them that, you show your masculine side to me, then I'm going to, knock you in your mouth and knock your stuff out of your mouth. He used the shit. So, you know, he don't understand that it was. And see, we've been through this. See, that's another thing. I can see that his own perspective, the perspective that he looks out of is just because of his own experience. He's not looking at the experiences of other people and people before him. You know, many people, this astrology stuff didn't just come out once he was born. It's been out quite some time. I think since the 60s it was really big. you know so it's, I'm talking about with charts and stuff, people trying to find themselves through the stars or whatever, through these charts and the zodiacs and all of that. The thing is, what we noticed is that, and what they discovered, and number one, well, okay, I'll say this first. They discovered that it's general. It's, you can have one sign at that time, and it will read the same for millions of people. For millions of people, the very same thing. And then you got people sitting down saying, yeah, that sounds like me. That sounds just like me. Yeah, it sure does. So now they got more savvy. They started going into in the moon in the third house and the seventh house and the seventh moon and seven, this kind of stuff. So, that makes it more seem more in tune to you, but in reality, it's still general. It's still a general thing. And it's also with you to sit down and perceive. And they also write it in a way to where they know that this is what the way you're going to perceive it. So they write it in a way that you can sit back and say, yeah, yeah, I guess that does sound like me. Yeah, yeah, you got to be, that's true now. That's true. But most of it sounds true about everybody. So he's reading his chart, and if I had a fatal attraction in my lifetime, then I could say, well, yeah, that's me too. That I must have that same thing in my chart too, because I've had a fatal attraction relationship. So yeah, I attract people. Yeah, I do attract that. Come on. So for you to use that as your basis for a spiritual teaching is at your age is just shows that you're still trying to find yourself, and you're not doing the work like this, like BP is telling you. You need to go to yourself. You need to go out there by yourself. You always talking about living in the woods. Have you ever have you ever taken a tent and went out in the back of where your house is? And that's what a guru should do. You got 15 people in the house, okay, in your camp, and you got the woods behind you. A guru should get himself out there in those woods with his tent, and go out there and find himself. Take some time by himself. He should be taking time, meditating, trying to open himself up for, you know, things to come, something spiritual to come to him. I heard him say that he had vision. He got on a and Sinetta, and he's telling a man that he had a vision, and his vision was real, and his vision is the all and end all. No matter what nobody is saying, he just had a profound vision of what happens, and therefore this is word. This is God's word, and that is it. You should not question it. I just told you I had a vision. So therefore you shouldn't. You got 1,000 something people, almost 2,000 people on the line, on the in the room, and he's talking about, this is, you shouldn't be questioning this. This is all end all. I had a vision. Come on, man. Anyways, so the astrology thing is something that he's searching for himself, when it's not going to give answers to himself. He's not going to find out how to change his life through astrology and using charts. Um, the other thing about those charts is that it makes you believe that these things are set in stone, and that you won't be able to change yourself. If the way he studies it and the way he says it and the way he presents it to people, these things cannot be changed. Now, when we were studying our horoscopes or whatever, we didn't think it was set in stone. Matter of fact, eventually you start realizing that it was for other people too. Other people can have the same aspect, So, anyways, so he's not, with the know thyself teaching. What he should know is that A person can change and they will change. And his chart is saying that it can't. And I mean, the way he's been using the chart, it shows that he can't. He'll always have this aspects in his life and in his governing his life, basically, and governing their lives. And that's not true. It's just not true. So, and he don't even know it. He's sitting there simple minded. Look at it. He just looks simple minded, not knowing that. And he's studying it to the point where he's like, he's becoming a guru of astrology, basically. And the thing about astrology is this: if astrology, it's been around so long, they've been making these charts and stuff, and people been reading them, and they put it in their newspaper and all this stuff. If it was so real and made people's lives changed to where they know themselves and they grow so high, it would be everywhere you go. It would be what we'd be walking, just like they're walking by it every day. The rest of the world would be walking by their astrology charts every single day, because it would be so amazing, and people are growing and getting closer to God and closer to good and closer to just life changing. As soon as they hear their chart is just so amazing, until they will just be, you know, floating, floating on happiness and joy and peace and all of those things, because this chart is so, learning this thing about yourself is just so life transforming. And it's not, young man, it is not.
Why isn't it? Because of the simple fact is this: I am by myself all the time. I'm in my own mind. I'm always by myself. Even when I have my own space. Like wherever I'm at, I always have my own space. I don't even like people too. It's like you're scared to be alone. When you was with me, I had my own space.
See, she knows him. She knows him. He don't want to admit it. The problem is, this young man, he don't want to be alone. He don't want to be alone because he was left alone. He's saying that he was abandoned as a child. Some people believe it. Some people don't. But he says that this is what happened, and that is why he don't want to be alone. Most people don't want to be alone after that, because they don't want to be abandoned. They don't want to feel like they're being abandoned. And in order to handle something like that, you got to be alone. You have to take some time alone.
I always have my own. No, you was still no. You remember when you was in Atlanta in that room isolated? I never was truly isolated. I always had a female with me. I love women. I always have. That's cool. That's cool. But I always.
And it's like, what happened? I mean, where'd it come from? What, that wasn't a part of the conversation. Where'd it come from? You always had women. Oh, you're not that great. You're not Don Juan or somebody. Well, you might be, but you're not that good looking, sir. I hate to, I don't want to go that low with him, though. I really don't. But he does bring that out of you, because that's where he lives. He's still in his lower self. So, I'm looking at him as, I know what my teaching brings. And this man is desecrating that. He is leading people by using a portion of my teaching to, and not my, he didn't hear me per se, okay, but the teachings that I have been teaching for, since 1990, or 1990, a few years after I first discovered it. um you know he's using that to cause people to fall. This lady is telling you right here, she didn't grow from that. The only thing that she got from that is the tools to help herself. That's what she got.
Well, you see me, I've always been online. I've always been online, so I interact with people. I'm not a, I mean, I'm not, I'm somewhat of a loner, but I'm not, I'm a social person. I'm a very social person. I've never been someone that That's not how I get it up. That's not how I get it up. I know me better than you do. I'm serious. Okay.
See how she laughed? Because she knows him better than he knows himself. This man just says things. He's not paying attention to what he says. He's just out there. His mind is just going, and he wants to put on a good front at all times. He don't want anybody to know that he is lost. Period. He's lost. He's not.
About you. You did. And you also taught me how to read. And that intuition that kicked in, you already know I hit you up every now and then when, you know what I'm saying, when I get that feeling of you need to hear some real shit. But it is what you saying ain't real. Like, what you saying ain't real though. No, it's real. It's really real. Listen, it's really real. I need to go somewhere by myself. I'm trying to understand, like, and duck the fuck off and deal with yourself and deal with the fuck you got going on. Whatever in your mind, in your heart, whatever. Deal up. That's BP. That's not. That is. That's not. You can't deal with it when you always got people around you telling you this shit is the right shit too, bro. BP. That's not how you deal with yourself, BP. Okay. It's not.
So he wants his members to believe that the way they deal with themselves is to be there under him, and this man can talk to you for hours. That's what they're saying. He will talk and talk and talk for hours. Now, I know that someone that does that, number one, they're not really healthy mentally. I already know that. Okay, that's number one. And number two, he obviously is taking something from them. He's when you talk so much and don't allow people to think for themselves, it's rude and it's cruel, especially when you do it to children and you do it to your significant other. It's cruel, okay? Because the mind needs silence. The mind needs silence. The mind, one of the biggest problems that women have is the constant flow of thoughts. Men used to have where they can be silent in their minds, where they don't think. They can think on demand. Nowadays, guys are thinking their minds are moving more now because of going into the wrong things. They've been into different environments and certain things that's causing them to have more and more thoughts and thinking all the time. But it's not good to think all the time. So, and it's not good to sit there and listen to someone constantly all the time. So it's not good to sit up and look at TV all the time. I mean, to hear the sound all the time. It's not good to, this by, let's say there was a machine. Let's say you walk into, let's say you're in your apartment or your house or something, and somebody move a machine by it, and this machine is loud, and it constantly goes, constantly. And then, let's say it goes off for a whole week. It's just going, going, going. Don't seem like it's going to stop. And finally, it cuts off. You get a great relief. You get that silence come in, and it is like, oh, it's healing. It's like healing. So don't ever tell anyone that, don't ever let anyone tell you that them talking all the time is for your benefit, because it's not. It's for their benefit, because they are out of control verbally. They cannot control their emotions and their mind, and they're following it, and they're constantly chasing those thoughts, and they're just regurgitating anything that comes to them. And that is not healthy. That's not healthy. You have to have more control of your mental and your emotional capacities. And this man obviously does not have that. And this woman knows it. And she's letting him know you need to go and get that silence. You need to go find that silence so that you can work on yourself. Because it's you can't how can you work on yourself if you don't if you can't see it? You can't see what's going on inside of you and what's going on in your mind. And it's not even just about healing what happened in the past when you were a kid. It's also about healing what's going on in your mind right now. You got to see what's going on in your mind right now. And you can't do that if it's constant noise. Noise is constant. And all of you there in carbonation, you are not doing this man any favor to allow him to dictate to you constantly, to teach you anything constantly, to sit up and listen to anyone 4, 5 hours. There's somebody constantly on you, talking, 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 and no stop. Some people don't even look like they breathe. You can't get a word in edgewise. That is rude. It's abusive, and it's ill. It's ill for the person that is listening, and it's ill for the one that's doing the talking. It's ill for the person who is listening because it can be crazy making. It can drive you out of your mind. And you should never, ever allow anyone to do that to you, no matter who they think they are or who they want you to believe they are. Never, ever, ever do that.
Okay. It's not, DVP. VP, you deal with yourself by dealing with others. Yes, at times, but sometimes you got to get by yourself, bro. You got to. You got to.
You have to get by yourself to contemplate yourself. You have to yourself, your lane. I mean, the information that you just received, whatever the tools that you receive, who somebody's talking to you, and the silence helps your intuition. It helps it helps you to connect with the source. If that's what you believe in and that's what you're trying to get to, that's where you're going. And that's why the silence is so sweet. They used to have a saying, silence is golden. And it is. It's so sweet. It's so amazing to be silent, especially after being bombarded with noise.
You don't even know yourself if you don't. I'm always by myself. Like, if I gotta take a vacation from the niggas around me, then I ain't with the right people. If you gotta take a vacation, that's like asking seals or dolphins, hey man, go spend some time. Look at anything in nature that's in a pack. You'll never see like lions like, oh, you need to take some time to yourself. No, nigga, your family is your frequency. Your family.
Now, listen to what he said. See, that shows you this man just talking out of his head. He's just come up with something that don't even make sense. Yes, in nature you do see the lions by themselves. Okay, you'll see a tiger by itself. You'll see dolphins by themselves sometimes too. Yes, they're not always, you know, they're not always together at all times. Okay, yes, they are in the school. They do have, their prides and all that. They do have those things, but you do find the animals alone. They do take step away. for whatever reason that they're doing it, they do step out of their circles.
Is what's gonna keep you on the path. At the end of the day, I have time to myself. I talk to y'all like it is what it is. But when you say like go take time to yourself and deal with yourself, like I'm dealing with myself. That's how you do deal with yourself by talking to others. That's why the universe split itself up subject.
No, he's dealing with them when he's there talking to them. He's dealing with them and making them think and believe that he is something higher than what he really is. Okay. And he can't afford. See, this is something else that I saw out of him when he was talking to them and how he handles them, when he's on his lives and they're all sitting around and people are asking him questions and stuff on his lives. He's very conscious of what they hear. He wants to protect them from the negativity that is being thrown at him. So when I say protect them, I mean that he wants to save their ears so that they won't come up with the same idea that the caller has. So he's manipulating. Simple as that. He's manipulating all the time, trying to make sure that they don't come up with that idea. So what I noticed about him, like when Velvet was there, she was telling him, I just need some space alone. I just want to go, be by myself for a little bit. I want some space. He would not give it to her. She was talking, let me just go sit in a tent by myself. She needed to be alone because her mind needs that silence. He wouldn't allow it. Okay. So what I saw is that pimp game. Okay, that's what a pimp does. And not only a pimp, men do it too. Other men will do that when they're trying to manipulate you, when they're trying to control women rather, and manipulate women. They what they do is they got to stay in your head. They got to keep give you the thoughts. They got to keep giving you the thoughts all the time, so that you will think what they want you to think and do what they want you to do. So while they're constantly doing that and being in your presence all the time, you can only think of them and you're only growing, closer and closer, intermingling with them. But when they leave you alone and let you go by yourself and get to think by yourself, then you become yourself again. You start thinking your own thoughts again. You start having your own feelings again. And they don't want that. And he don't want that. And that's what I noticed when I very first came across him on this internet, and he was talking, and I knew, and I wrote in the chat where I got somebody's website, man is a pimp. He's a pimp. That's all he is. I didn't know anything else about him. I didn't know anything about him at all, other than what I saw. And he was a pimp, and he was manipulating.
So that it can experience itself subjectively. God is already by himself. God is already by itself. You are me and I am you. So we are by ourselves. The reason for life is to interact with each other. That's the meaning of life.
And see, that's the same analogy that he had with talking about the womb. The womb is made specifically, or a woman is made specifically to have babies and to follow her womb, only her womb. That's the only thing she has on this earth, and she is just to make babies. Okay. That's the same thing he's saying here, is that we were here on this earth to be with other people. So therefore, no, you're not supposed to take a vacation from them, and you're not supposed to go step in a room somewhere and have your own thought, or go sit out and go to the beach and sit down and have your own thoughts somewhere. or have your own feelings, and how, commune with nature. Commune. That's something you'll probably never hear him say.
Hello? Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. The universe broke itself up into many pieces of itself to experience itself subjectively. It did not, you already one thing. You already one thing. The reason why we're split up is because we're figuring out who we are through each other. So the key is not spending time by yourself. The key is learning how to coexist, learning how to be enlightened with each other, and finding your frequency and being with your frequency, finding that frequency and being able to coexist with people. That is the reason, one of the reasons why you're here.
But we already coexist with people from family. We come here in the world coexisting with others. And even a baby needs his quiet time when it's asleep in the other room, when mother is off into a room cleaning and cooking and taking her time to do things. You always got to have a space. It's always got to be a space. What if the child just cries, cries, cries? You got to be able to break it up and then get away from it. We have so many examples of this noise harming a human. The noise can harm mentally, you know, and I don't know why the symptoms he's exhibiting is that, how he talks all the time and everything, and he monopolize other people's time and try to be the center of their mind, you know. So he don't want to let that go. He don't want to let that go with people. So, and I explain later on in another video of how he got into the situation of not wanting to be. Well, we already know it's the abandonment issue that he has. He don't want to be alone.
Yeah, but coexisting don't have to be a dictatorship. Well, you keep calling me a dictator. You keep calling me. That's the first time I called you a dictator. That's the first time.
You hear that? Oh, you keep calling me a dictator. Wow. He heard it somewhere before.
You want to coexist with somebody calling me a dictator, but if I was on a block or when I had my barbershop, you didn't call me a dictator. You just called me the boss. Anybody that is the leader of something, you can easily call him a dictator because he's an influencer. Because I influence.
No, that's not true. A dictator is a dictator. A boss is a boss. A boss does not dictate what you do. A boss tells you how the job is to be done and how you do this. If you're doing paperwork, this is how I do this paperwork here, and this is how I need you to do this. That's not dictating to you. That's not telling you how to think, how to dress, how to eat, sleep, all that other stuff. It's not dictation. It's see, he always want to twist things. So he wants to take the word dictator and fix it so that it's okay in his surrounding. Most likely he has people around him listening, number one. And they're the ones also has heard that word dictation, that he's a dictator. Okay, so uh, they gotta sit there and, they're thinking themselves that dictation. So he's trying to clean it up so that in their psyche, it'll be okay when they hear it again.
People, you calling me a dictator? I'm not a dictator because everybody. Okay. See, now you're splitting up what the fuck I'm saying because guess what? In one breath, you're saying coexist peacefully, and then in the other word, you're saying in this peaceful coexistence, I'm gonna dictate your motherfucking ass. You feel what I'm saying? Nah, man, I can't. Come on, BP. You vibrating too low now, man. Like I can't even talk to you on a. How is that vibrating low? Your mind ain't really picking.
because she told the truth. She telling him the truth. Now he said, "Oh no, wait a minute, you going too far now. You telling me the truth, and I don't like that. I'm not gonna go off on you because you're my buddy, But no, you not even on my wavelength now. You not even up there now. You too high. I mean, you down too low now. You not up where I am right now."
Up the frequencies no more, dog. Like I can feel it. Like when I'm talking to you, I mean, shit, if that shit, like you all the way down in a low vibration where you can't really pick up certain frequencies, like no more. You know what I mean? Like, and you sit. Let that be the excuse.
She's telling him the truth. That's the most highest frequency you can ever experience. And that is the frequency of the truth, the unapologetic truth. And that is not a truth where you're using it like a weapon, like he was. See, he was low earlier when he was talking about her not being vegan and her not smoking and those kind of things. He was on a low frequency because he was trying to harm her with that information. He was trying to shut her up and trying to make her feel bad about herself. That's not what a truth teacher does. That's not what a good teacher does, a master of the inner self teaching, the know thyself teaching does to a student.
All right, I think I like you. You ain't really grasping them. It's kind of like you got. Yeah, that shit don't wrap around my brain too tight no more. Look, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like you don't went back. I'm just saying, if you start eating vegan, you stop smoking, and you really get back to me, y'all vegan eaters is the craziest motherfuckers on this earth. You feel me? Y'all need to look at them. Y'all need something in your diet to goddamn balance some shit out. Cause look, man, you know what I mean? Y'all, I can't do the vegan. You see what I'm saying, BP? You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You see what you just said? That shit crazy. I don't know. I don't eat a lot of meat. Listen. I don't eat a lot of meat. I don't eat a lot of food over here. Period. Like the shit just ain't. It ain't the same. But
See, what he's not getting is that's her way of rejecting him. She's letting him know, no, y'all crazy. Whatever y'all doing over there, something about you, vegan people or something, y'all crazy. I don't think she's talking about vegan people in general all over the world. She's just saying him that, nah, y'all something wrong with y'all over there, and I don't want to be a part of it. That's basically what she's trying to say. And he's like, oh, you see what you just said? You're talking about my diet now. You're talking about, you know.
I mean, you tweaking. You tweaking. Get you some sleep, nigga. It's all good. Get you some sleep. If you know me, I ain't go to sleep in 3 days and did the most illest down. Exactly, I know you don't.
See, that's ill, brother. That is ill. You can't sleep. Something is wrong, sir. Something is seriously wrong. You talk too much. You can't sleep. You don't sleep. You're controlling. You're uh, telling yourself that you're higher when you're not high. When you're telling yourself you're on this high frequency when you're not high. You don't get to yourself. You don't study yourself like you should. You're studying yourself around other people by talking to other people. No, you talk too much. So you definitely can't be studying yourself. And if you are teaching yourself when you're talking to other people, you don't know yourself. You have not reached the level of truly knowing yourself. Check that one out. Study that one.
What the fuck I'm trying to say? You can't your head to sleep, man. Get you some rest, rest your mind. Remember, I didn't go to sleep for 3 days, and I gave the most download I ever gave, period. Okay. I don't need to sleep. I'm a god. I don't need to eat. I'm a god. I'm seriously. Like, you know this. know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I can go days without eating and sleeping too. No, I go without eating for days. You know me, like hey, me too. And I go without sleeping. You feel what I'm saying? So you can't tell me to get no rest. I'm well rested. You feel me? I'm full of energy. So okay, that's what it is.
But the problem is the other people don't get to sleep. That's the problem. When he's not sleeping, then he's up dictating, and he call himself teaching at the moments when people are tired. That's inconsiderate. And he's afraid to be alone, and he don't want to be in his dreams either. That's what that sounds like to me.
Oh, you know I love you, man. I love myself. Face ass little boy. All right, get your sister seat, wherever you say.
When he says, I love myself, he has to affirm that, because he doesn't. He doesn't love himself. And that I'll get into in other videos. Peace and blessings all. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you want to hear more. Peace.